everybody. My name is Nadia Rainone. I'm so glad that you stayed after lunch. I was a bit worried that everybody would leave, and I'm really glad that you stayed. So thanks for that. I work for an organization called SIFE, and today I'm going to talk about how to solve societal and also environmental issues with an entrepreneurial approach. SIFE stands for Social Entrepreneurship Impacted Finance, which basically already reveals what we are doing. So we basically are fostering or trying to strengthen the ecosystem of social entrepreneurship. So we offer, or to contribute to the professionalization of social enterprises, we offer different programs. So for example, we have different seminars, the Business Growth and also the Business Creation Seminar. We have the Impact Boost Academy, which is a pretty cool name for a coaching program. We are working together with corporate partners, and that works basically like that a senior level manager gets matched to a social entrepreneur, and they work together on a specific topic through 6 months. The aim of this academy is to make the startups impact investing ready, so to bring them to the next stage. And this brings me to our next field we are in, and that is impact investing. So we are building up a business angels or an impact angels club, and trying to educate people who are interested in impact investing on how to invest in social enterprises as well. So we're doing a lot of capacity building around social entrepreneurship and also impact investing, and we're doing that basically more focusing on the growth phase of the companies rather than just helping them with the ideation process. And maybe there's to say that you can see this kind of arrow, it's not really clear, but this represents the maturity level of the startup. So as you can see, we start with business creation, and in the end we try to bring them all the way through impact investing, so we help them with the first financing rounds as well. As I already mentioned, we work together with big corporations because we learned that the collaboration between the startup world and the corporate world is really valuable. So for this year's SIFE Awards, which is basically our flagship program, I forgot to mention. So we are offering a SIFE Awards, which rewards companies that really try to apply innovative business ideas to solve societal and environmental issues. And this year we worked together with this company, so the SIFE Award was given in the field of integration and prevention, it was given for entrepreneurial innovation and for future trends, and newly now this year as well with Johnson & Johnson for digital healthcare. And we as SIFE are sponsoring as well one prize for social entrepreneurship. But all the companies participating in our award are social enterprises. Here you can see some images of this year's SIFE Awards, which took place on the 2nd of October. I'm still tired from this event, but you can see the people are really happy. These are this year's winners, and they have all the reason to be happy, of course, because winning such an award means not only to receive 10,000 francs, and I don't know the exchange rate, but I don't know how much it is in Bulgarian currency, but 10,000 francs, it's quite a lot, but they also gained a lot of visibility, of course. They have the opportunity to engage with our community, they can build up their network, and it really helps to get the help also from the network they need to get a step further. So you can see these were the winners, and I will come back to some of those companies to support some theoretical topics I'm going to cover throughout my speech to make it a bit more tangible. So I really want to give you hands-on examples on what it means, social entrepreneurship, and all the concepts behind. So now, I want to start with a really basic introduction, or maybe description of the word social entrepreneurship. And I don't know if you have seen the teaser for this conference, which was this cow just making weird sounds when it comes to explaining what these topics covered in this conference mean, and I really don't want to sound like this cow right now, so, but it was hilarious, so good job. Social entrepreneurship for us is a company that solves societal or environmental issues by using an entrepreneurial approach and generates both financial and social return. Now, I just want to point out some keys in this description, this definition. So first of all, it solves a societal or environmental issue. So it solves a problem. It's not just entertainment. It's not just the next Snapchat, for example. So it really solves an issue. And my favorite one is that it solves it with an entrepreneurial approach. And I also had to define maybe what is an entrepreneurial approach, and I really like that. It's to be drawn to opportunities, innovation, and new value creation. And also it is the ability to take calculated risks and accept the realities of change and uncertainty. So that's really, really nice, isn't it? And of course it generates both financial and social return. Maybe some of you have asked yourself, what is it then, or what is it that differentiates a social business from a charity or from a commercial business? And as you can see, the spectrum here from social value to economic value, we are kind of in the middle. And the differentiation between a social business and a charity, we say, is that it has to be at least 60% of self-income. So it has to generate income, actually. And the differentiation between a social business and a commercial business, on the other hand, is that it has to be impact first, which means that the core motivation of why you're doing what you're doing is to create impact. And as I was listening to Nicola's speech, I was like, we should have talked earlier, because your business is exactly what it is, actually. It is impact first. You wanted to save these apples, right? Or this biodiversity, kind of. And so this was the core motivation, but they were still doing a return, so they were still earning money with that. And that's a perfect example that it can work. So I really hope that this helps for the further discussion as well, to understand or to have this common understanding what social entrepreneurship is and what the differences are between charities, social entrepreneurship, and commercial businesses. Now I would like to get a bit more specific, and I'm sure that all the NGO representatives in the audience can relate to that topic and how important it is, actually. And I could not stress it more. So impact measurement is really important, not only to just make results visible, but also see it as a tool to see if you're still on track. See it as a controlling tool, actually, to check your strategy, if you're still doing what you're doing, and if you're allocating the resources correctly, and if you're still doing the right thing to finally reach your mission. And as I told you, I would like to make it a little bit more tangible. So I would like to talk about one of our winners for the SIFE Awards this year, which is Cooler. And it's a nice story as well, how this whole thing started. So Nadia Rainone, who is the founder, she's a female engineer. And I had to mention that she's a female engineer, of course. So she's a female engineer that first of all heard about the concept of cooling with warm water at university. So as we all can say, we learned so many things at university and never really apply it. But then she learned that over 75% of all vaccines in developing countries are getting damaged because of a lack of cooling. So they cannot be used anymore. And that was the moment she thought, I could use this concept learned at university to solve a societal problem somewhere in a rural area, right? So she developed a cooler, which is a fridge, basically, that uses warm water for cooling. And warm water, apparently, is a really good way to do this, because it can be generated from solar energy, and it is easy to store. So it is perfectly fine to be allocated in rural areas as well, where the supply of energy is not really good, because usually you cool with electricity. And this way it's really cheap, it's really sustainable, and yeah, it can be used in off-grid regions. So this is another example that sustainability doesn't have to be more expensive, for example. And now in terms of impact measurement, I would like to show you a really simple illustration of an impact chain, and with the example of cooler. So first of all, you have the output. Output is the number of, this is what you produce basically. So it's the number of refrigerators they do, in this case. The outcome is what is the social value that immediately follows after. So in this case, it's the percentage of vaccines that got saved because of this bridge. And then if you go a step further, there's the impact. And the impact is more long-term, it's really difficult to measure, and you really have to consider a lot of factors to make an accurate statement about the impact. But if we try to do it with the example of cooler, it would be, of course, if more people would get a vaccine, because not so many would be damaged, then in the long run, maybe the society or the health in the society would improve. And also maybe the regions would be more empowered. So this is just a little statement of a really simple way to measure the impact. And now I want to talk about the second myth we have in social entrepreneurship, or we have to explain many times. For example, it's not possible to earn money with social venturing. And I would really like to revise this statement, because it is. You might have heard about or you might know the business model canvas maybe. It's a really lean approach for a business model, it's for a business plan. So it's really easy, and we also have a social business model canvas that is a bit different from the regular business model when it comes to the segments. So usually, with social enterprises, you have a differentiation between beneficiaries and customers. So the ones who actually pay for the service are not the ones who benefit from the social innovation. You have this construct a lot. But there are still many ways to monetize it, right? So you could, for example, sell your product or your service in different markets, where you have higher paid clients in more developed areas, and you can offer the services maybe on a bit lower price in developing areas. So there are many opportunities to earn money. You just have to be a little bit more creative maybe to be self-sustainable as well as social business. And of course, if you are selling products to people who don't have a lot of money or maybe lack in liquidity, you should also be a bit creative with your payment model. So you could, for example, give them a loan to buy it. So because this upfront payment can be really difficult sometimes. Or you can offer them to rent your product, or you could just sell them the service, a service related to the product, so they don't have to make this huge investment up front. And I would like to show this with our second winner of this year's SAIF Awards, which is BlindTap. And BlindTap is a company, it's like a tablet that was made for blinds. And that's really nice that I can present BlindTap here, because the founder is actually a Bulgarian girl who, yes, she's Bulgarian girl that once was asked from a friend at university if she could sign him for an online course, because he wasn't able to do it himself. And that was the moment she got really confronted with this and understood what it means not to be able to participate in our society because of a disability. And she really strongly believed that this had to be changed. So, being very empathetic, of course, she started researching. She started partnering up with people who could help her to solve this problem. Of course, she couldn't do it alone, but she asked people, she talked about it, and eventually was able to make this tablet, which is quite awesome. I saw it and I tried it out. Of course, I cannot really read Braille, but these bubbles just rise and fall all the time, and it converts online content into this Braille, how do you say, bubbles, so that the blind people can read it, and it's amazing, and it's really revolutionary. And coming back to the business models, maybe you can see that they are offering it not only to buy, but they are also offering it so as a borrow option. So you could also borrow such a tablet for one day, because they want to make it accessible, also for people, or for blind people who are not that wealthy. So they could use it, or they can participate in our online community as well. And they are offering it in different markets, as I told you. So they are offering it, let's say, in the US, where they can sell it a bit with a higher price, and they're selling it in developing areas. So yeah, they can really cross-subsidize the incomes from the US, let's say, to finance their ventures in developing areas, which is an approach that is really often used in the social entrepreneurship area. The next company I would like to talk about is MyAbility. MyAbility won the prize for integration and prevention this year. And things started really dramatically here. So the founder once had an accident, and since then he's sitting in a wheelchair. And he got confronted also with all the difficulties that there are being in a wheelchair, so especially when it comes to finding a job. But he really was able to take the power and the motivation out of this frustration to found this company, which is, again, amazing. I'm so impressed. And now they are really successful. They are offering consultancy for the business community, so their aim is to make the mindset shift of the corporates so that they see disabled people as an opportunity if put in the right environment. So they're trying to build this environment with their consultancies, with trainings they do, and also with usability tests, and they're also building up a recruiting service for disabled people. I have to say, they are really, really successful with that, and I think it's a really nice story. The next company who won the CIFE Awards for digital healthcare is Mirrorable. However, I have to say Mirrorable is just the name of the platform they built, not of the company. The company is called Fight the Stroke, but I just didn't find the logo. So this is an Italian couple who, after the birth of their son, learned that he had a stroke and that he wasn't able to move the left side of his body. So of course they were frustrated first, but then they picked themselves up and they started researching. They started partnering with universities, and they finally developed this platform called Mirrorable, which is a toolkit for rehabilitation of children that suffer from stroke, that helps them with the rehabilitation in a playful manner to regain or learn these motoric skills they got lost through the stroke, which is also really impressive, I guess. What I really like about this story is that they didn't have a medical background. They just were interested. Of course, they had a reason to be interested in this topic. So they partnered with universities, with medical institutions, and they educated themselves to be able to do this platform and to do what they are doing. And I think, the wrong background and not having the right education didn't just stop them. They just kept going, and I think that's so, so inspiring. They're also doing a great job with measuring their impact, and it's not supposed, you should not read it. Just to show they are measuring their impact. This is the theory of change. So they're doing a lot right. They're also really good at monetizing. So they have built, because they had to find out that the market for children suffering from stroke was not big enough to financially sustain their business, they kind of copied the platform they had, and they developed an e-learning platform for healthy children that uses the same algorithm, I guess, with that you can learn while observing, but just for another market that is more scalable, maybe. So now they're also cross-subsidizing the incomes from the e-learning platform to finance their mission they have, of course, to help children with stroke, which is amazing. But I think I'm a huge fan of this story, so I would like to show you a really short movie about the two founders, or a video, a speech they held a couple of years ago. I really hope it works. Now it should start. We were testing it, and I was at the different click, and it should directly go.
Honestly, we went down. I mean, we went really down. But at the end, we started to look at him, and we said we have to react. So immediately, as Francesca said, we changed our life, we started the physiotherapy, we started the rehabilitation, and one of the paths that we were following in terms of rehabilitation is the mirror neurons pilot. Basically, we spent months doing this with Mario. You have an object, and we showed him how to grab the object. Now, the theory of mirror neurons simply say that in your brains, exactly now, as you watch me doing this, you are activating exactly the same neurons as if you do the actions. It looks like this is the leading edge in terms of rehabilitation, but one day we found that Mario was not looking at our hand. He was looking at us. We were his mirror. And the problem, as you might have felt, is that we weren't down, we were depressed, we were looking at him as a problem, not as a son, not from a positive perspective. And that day really changed our perspective. We realized that we had to become a better mirror for Mario. We started from our strengths, and at the same time we started from his strengths. We stopped to look at him as a problem, and we started to look at him as an opportunity to improve. And really, this was the change. And from our side, we said, what are our strengths that we really can bring to Mario? And we started from our passions. I mean, at the end, my wife and myself are quite different, but we have many things in common. We love to travel, we love music, we love to be in places like this, and we started to bring Mario with us, just to show to him the best things that we can show to him. This short video is from last week. I'm not saying it's a miracle, that's not the message, because we are just at the beginning of the path. But we want to share what was the key learning. The key learning that Mario drove to us, and is to consider what you have as a gift, and not only what you miss, and to consider what you missed just as an opportunity. And this is the message that we want to share with you. This is why we are here. Mario! And this is why... And this is why we decided to share the best mirror in the world with him. And we thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really nice. And the key message here, that was so profound, so that you should take what you have as a gift and what you miss as an opportunity. I think that perfectly illustrates what the entrepreneurial mindset maybe is, to see opportunities everywhere, not to victimize yourself, right? So now, I don't want to talk too much about the technical aspects of social entrepreneurship, but rather also share a little bit of soft aspects maybe I learned from being surrounded with these amazing people, having this mindset. And I really would like to share this with you now. The first lesson is to embrace obstacles. Have you ever been in a situation that you thought, wow, I'm not going to manage this, like, now this is the end, like, this is the worst thing that could have happened, I'm not going to do this? And, I mean, who has been in such a situation? I think all of us, right? And in the end, how did it turn out? In the end, you've probably found a way to manage it, and looking back, the problem doesn't seem so incredibly big anymore. But when you were standing in front of it, you felt like, okay, wow, look, I'm gonna die. So, yeah, I really would like to encourage you, the next time you are facing such a challenge, that you really try to embrace it, and that you really try to see it as an opportunity, and as an opportunity to improve yourself, or also to improve our surroundings, or the people around us. So, yeah, I think all the challenges that were given to us for a reason, so we should take them and make something out of it. That's the first lesson I've learned. Second lesson is to celebrate the failures. And I mean, yeah, that's something I also learned from those people. They accept failures, they embrace it, they really fail often, and they celebrate it. And it's easier said than done, I know, because who likes to fail in the end? Who likes to get the social sanctions that come from failure in the end? But I think that's the only way to progress. And even if we've heard this 1,000 times, it cannot be emphasized more, because to celebrate failure means to build a society where people feel empowered to go new ways, to be innovative and to really fail. So I think we can change this by stop judging others for their mistakes. So we cannot just sit around and wait for this environment to be built. I think we should take action and actually start to celebrate failures, not just to accept them. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of the fuck-up nights. So this is basically an event where people share their failures with a broad audience and then celebrate them. And I've been to such a fuck-up night once, and it's a really good environment. And maybe to give you a little bit of practical advice, Just think about a failure or mistake you did recently. Just tell it to somebody after the event, and just start with this. With cultivating this kind of environment, we really are empowered to fail. Then secondly, somebody told me once the best work comes from the state of authenticity, so when you're authentic and really honest to yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not, because you really have to be the person you are, and this person is the person that the world needs, actually. That sounds so incredibly cheesy, I know. But there is some value in what I'm saying now, because what it means to be authentic for me is also to admit, if you have no clue during your conversation, if you have no clue about the topic, to also share weaknesses. Because, and coming back to the business aspect, this is the only way to get support from your community. This is the only way where you can get help from the people. Because if you don't say it, if you don't show it, nobody will come and help you, and so nothing really great can be achieved. And my favorite, and to finish it as well, is your story is unique, so use it. I caught myself so many times just thinking, oh, you know, I'm not privileged enough. My parents have no money, I don't have a tech background, and, you know, life in Switzerland is too expensive. So there are so many excuses why we are ashamed also of our story, but I think this is exactly what makes you unique, and this is exactly what can bring value to whatever you're doing. To be honest and to be authentic and to celebrate your story. Don't be ashamed about your past, about your family or whatever. And don't see it as an excuse to be passive in this world. So I really want to encourage you to stop blaming, I don't know, our family, to stop blaming the government, to stop blaming everybody else for not taking action, and just start searching for solutions. That's my message. Thank you so much.